Okay? My point is simply that, once again, I'm not claiming to have the answers. The theists are the ones claiming to have the answers. I'm pleading for the recognition of our ignorance, because in the history of science, the only thing, starting from Plato's remark to Meno, the only thing that could possibly lead you to actually get a good explanation is to start off by admitting that you don't know. And religious people keep saying that actually they do know. And what they say, according to me, is essentially meaningless. I'm merely asking for the legitimacy of not knowing and being both curious and full of wonder to be recognized as an equally valid attitude to life. And that's the one respect in which I think that, yes, an atheist can be religious in some sense, and that is simply to have a sense of awe before the universe without jumping to some sort of explanatory conclusion.
I am so grateful that you asked that question, because when Dr. De Sousa was saying that quantum fluctuations are an example of something coming from nothing, I was over here biting my tongue, wanting to speak out. Of course, curiosity and wonder is an appropriate attitude, but that is no justification for pseudoscience. And that's what it is when you're talking about the vacuum as nothingness. The vacuum is a physical entity with a rich physical substructure. It is a sea of fluctuating energy governed by physical laws. It is not an example of things coming into being out of nothing. And when Dr. De Sousa says, well, maybe there are deeper level laws that show there's some possibility in nothingness for things to originate, that is pseudoscience. That is just utterly empty. I think it is so ironic that when people think there's a conflict between science and religion, they declare another victory in the battle between science and religion and jump on the bandwagon of science. But when science starts confirming religious beliefs, like in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, all of a sudden they jump off the bandwagon of science and start deserting contemporary science in favor of these pseudo-scientific hypotheses.
Well, I guess my question is about morality. If I understood you sort of correctly, the one back and forth, you claimed that with God and religion, that somehow people are, that there is a sense of morality that people just can't have, and God kind of imparts to them.
If I may interrupt, that was not my argument. My argument was not about where the sense of morality comes from. My argument concerns whether or not moral values are real and objective, not whether we have a moral sense that requires God to give us that sense.
Okay, well, perhaps I misunderstood a little bit, but I'll ask the question I'll ask. How do you account for a statistical drop in violent crime, meanwhile with a rise in atheism and, a decline in church-going attendance?
I'm not a sociologist, I'm a philosopher. I'm not qualified to answer that. I'm not making any claim that religion is something that's going to benefit society and therefore we should believe in it or something of that sort. That would be patently fallacious. So that's just not germane to the debate tonight.
Well, I'm going to cheat here and just say one thing about the previous remark. I did not claim that in appealing to quantum fluctuations in the vacuum, I was giving any explanation or scientific explanation. I was drawing on this as a possible analogy for a possibility that we can recognize. And what I've been emphasizing is that I don't know, not that I have an explanation. You're the one who thinks you have an explanation. You're the one who's positing some answer which I deem to be vacuous. I posit no answer. And so you're quite right to deem my explanations vacuous because they are non-existent. I think we should recognize that we can't explain everything.
Next question. Dr. De Sousa, throughout your presentation, one of the arguments you were making is that the reason we don't need religion is that we have rational scientific explanations of how things in the world work. For instance, you gave the example of what we can attribute to a God. We don't need various gods and lords, these can be explained primarily, I think the influence was through evolutionary theory. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but that's what I thought you were implying. I'm just curious if you have any opinion at all on the position then of what's known as evolutionary theism.
No. I don't know what that is.
Would you like me to clarify?
Yeah.
It's the position that God essentially created the universe through the process of Darwinian evolution.
Okay, that's what you mean. Yes, I have a position on it. If that's what God did, well, that just really confirms that he's a vicious bully, the nastiest character in the whole of literature. What kind of character would create a world in which he just contemplates through millions and millions of years just animals tearing one another apart, evolution devising the most awful tortures for organisms of various kinds, and so on and so forth. If that's what you think God did, then I definitely think that he's a vicious bully.
What you're talking about is not evolutionary theism. You mean theistic evolution. You've got the words reversed. And I think that, again, it would be the burden of proof would be on Dr. De Sousa to show that God could not have morally sufficient reasons for creating a world in which a natural world is brought about through an evolutionary process. It could well be that this is the means by which God would create an ecosystem that would have a balance in it, that would be a habitable place for humanity, where this whole human drama then is played out and provides an arena for free agents to choose for or against God, to develop moral maturity and so forth. And it seems to me that that would be a justifiable explanation for why he might do such a thing as you imagine.
Dr. Gray, there are many mysteries in this world.
You'll have to speak louder.
There are many mysteries in this world.
There are many what?
Mysteries.
Mysteries.
Unsolved ideas, right? And in the past, many of them have been solved by scientists, professors, without the help of God. So, if there really is a God out there, how is it that God leaves us in mystery so much and doesn't help us solve these problems?
Okay, I need help understanding. If there really is a God out there, then what?
Then why does he leave us in mystery so much?
Why does he leave us in mystery?
Yeah, why does he not answer our questions?
Well, I think that God reveals to us that which is necessary for his ultimate purpose, namely to find salvation, to know him and eternal life. But he's in the project of developing us as moral, mature agents, which would involve learning how to explore the natural world, plumb its mysteries, and so forth. The kind of curiosity and wonder that Dr. De Sousa talked about, that is at the spring of modern science, flowed out of a Christian worldview. Modern science originated in the West, in medieval Europe, because Christians believe that this world is a rational place governed by natural laws ordered by God, and therefore is open and amenable to rational exploration and discovery. And so I think the Christian enthusiastically supports the project of natural science and human learning in every field, and it would be to treat us as immature imbeciles for God to just sort of spoon feed us everything. I'm not at all surprised that he would create us in a world in which we would be called upon to explore and discover and find out the mysteries of creation. Do you find that odd, that God would create a world like that? You do? Okay, well, I don't know. Maybe we have a very different concept of God.